friends. Welcome back. It's Kathy, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to our every Friday 8 p.m. live stream. Just the end of the week, kind of getting together. So I'm so excited that you have joined me for today. So today is actually our last Friday for our August series, which is Conversations with a Nurse. So it's all about nursing for the month of August, and next month is going to be a different series. So if you are new to my channel, I do Harry Potter series. I love Harry Potter, and I do lifestyle vlogs, and I also do nursing topics. So welcome to the channel. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and the notification bell so you can get notified on my next video. And so now we're going to go ahead and start our topic about nursing and, hardships of nursing and how to become a successful nurse in the year 2020 when we have all these pandemics that are going on, all these crazy things that are going on. Okay, so this is going to be awesome. So thank you so much for logging in. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to interact with the other viewers on the chat room. And if you have any questions, I'll go back to the questions and answer them the best that I can. So nursing is a very, very rewarding career. And as you know, in the year 2020, nurses are pretty much the heroes, as well as the other medical directors or medical as clinicians. Let's call everybody clinicians and everybody that works in the medical field to help us out get through with our current situation right now under COVID. So I thought I was going to be too super prepared today. It has been a crazy week. If you have been watching the news here in Texas, where I live, we actually had 2 hurricanes. One kind of died off, but the second one was pretty devastating. And so, with my work, we had to evacuate a facility, and we went through that and organized everybody. And that was, throughout the whole week. And actually today, I just got back home, got freshened up a little bit, and now I'm back on live stream with you, my friends. And I'm super excited that you have joined me. So let's take a look at, I just want to go ahead and do a fast forward. If you have any beginner questions about nursing, go ahead and ask me on the chat. But I have a video about the 9 frequently asked questions about nursing. Go ahead and look through that. If you want to know a little bit about education, how to become a nurse, I went through that in that video. So I do want to fast forward and really talk about some pressing stuff, pressing issues about nursing, the good and the bad, that kind of combination, right? So in Texas, I want to jump into salaries. Okay, how much do nurses get paid? Now, let me back up a little bit. There's an LVN or LPN, depending on what state you live. And also there's a registered nurse. So they get paid a little bit different. The LVNs, I would say they do get paid good, but not as good as RNs. It doesn't mean that RNs are always better than LVNs. I just want to say that out loud. I work with fantastic, amazing LVNs, and I wouldn't know what to do if it weren't for them. So they're the great leaders in our nation right now. Everybody, all of the nursing, just the nursing, everyone that's in the nursing field, I would say that. All right, so let's talk about salaries or how much you get paid. For the state of Texas, typically, and it still depends, this is for registered nursing, okay? For the state of Texas, it is, let me just make sure we have everything. Okay, so in the state of Texas, the annual salary, I would say this is median, is about $74,540. So I would say about 74, 75K a year. So that can equate to about $35 an hour, and that's basic. I know I got paid that much in the beginning years of my career. So that probably is like the beginning entry level pay. And I know it's more than that. And like I said in my previous videos, that there is also shift differential if you work the night shift or if you work the evening shift. It kicks in like I think around 6 o'clock at night. And this is hospital setting. It's a little bit different if you work in a skilled nursing facility or in an assisted living non-acute setting. Might be a little bit different. Let's take a look at California. We're just going to look at the contrasting state kind of parameter. We have Texas at $75K a year or $35 an hour. And in California, it's $113,000 a year or about roughly $55 an hour. And that's basic. So are you interested yet? You know, the nurses do get paid, right? But they do a lot of work. I just want to throw it out there. It's a very rewarding career. You get paid really, really well. So if you're thinking about nursing, go back to my other video and I'll spell it out there. Or we might be able to go through that at the end of our session. So let me talk about the rewarding stuff, the rewarding things as a nurse. And I'm just going to pull it up from Google because I thought I was going to have time to do this and I didn't. It's crazy. I will tell you that in nursing, money is good. You get paid really good, but the most rewarding factor, I would say, is getting to see your patients well, taking care of patients or residents, wherever you're working at. Knowing that you make a difference to other people. And this is not only for residents or patients, but the families feel that too. Knowing that you make a difference, knowing that you are able to help them out because they are unable to do that. Those are the rewarding factors on top of, you know, getting paid, I guess. Getting paid is good. Who wants to work free, right? But those are some of the factors that, you know, makes you feel good, that at the end of the day, when you go home, at the end of your shift, when you go home, at the end of your week, of work week, you know in your heart that you've made a difference. You know in your heart that you saved somebody's life. You know in your heart that you contributed to someone's well-being, that that patient is on the road to recovery or into getting a better medical status. That is the most rewarding. Something that you won't hear from anybody, but you just know that in your heart that you've done that and you did a great job. You did a great job. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive into some of the, I'm going to go back into that one, the positive, you know, but I want to go to the biggest issues because I want you to know the hard truth, right? About being a nurse. The biggest issues in nursing. Who are you guys ready? All right. Short staffing. Yes, short staffing. Short staff. That means you work on your shift and you can't go home because you don't have the other nurse that's supposed to come in to relieve your shift, right? Or that means you're already working 3 days straight for 12-hour shifts and they still need you because they don't have anybody else to work the following day. Or you might be getting floated to a different floor, a different department that you're not familiar with, right? That's what it means when we say short staffing. We have shortage in staffing. We can't find anybody. Somebody calls in sick in the morning and they cannot replace that shift. They're going to call you, or they might ask you to extend your hours until they can find somebody to come in and replace you. That is tough because you're already tired at the end of your shift. You're already exhausted. You're tired. You're looking forward to going home and you can't. And it's not like it's not like a desk job where you just sit in and, you know, you just sit in and work on paperwork. It's not like that. You're on your feet working and you're on your feet just running around, making sure that everybody has been well taken care of. So that's what it means. What about workplace hazards? What does that mean? I mean, we're talking about either contagious diseases or equipment, you know, equipment that may accidentally fall, on you, and you can get injured. There's a lot of things that can be part of the workplace hazards. What about workplace violence? That is very controversial. That can be taken into different categories. Let's just say patient focus or resident focus, right? We're talking about workplace violence. So that can be either the patient has become belligerent, right? Physically violent. And so we're talking about physically, you may get slapped, you may get pushed, you may sustain a bruise, you may sustain, you may fall on the ground. It depends on the situation. That doesn't mean it was intentional for you to be hurt. It just means that they are in a very vulnerable mental stage that they just want to do something. Either they want to get out of there or do something. It's not towards you, but it comes with their change of condition. What about verbal violence? Okay, so that can happen too. So patients or residents, they can cuss you out, or they can call you names, and it can be like they're pushing it, but it's really not towards you. They're upset and disappointed with their situation, and it just has to come out. It's just, the steam has just to come out. It's not necessarily intentionally for you or towards you. Just know that. But you just have to have a thick skin, and you have to remember that you're there to help them out, not to get on with it and engage. That's one of the number one things that we don't want to do. You don't want to engage with a disruptive family or a disgruntled patient or resident. Okay, bullying and harassment. That is also big. These are who, I don't work in on the floor. I don't work in an acute care setting anymore, but this reminds me of everything that I had gone through when I used to work in a hospital setting or acute care setting. Bullying or harassment. So bullying, what are we talking about bullying? I'm going to tell you, and I was a new nurse. You got to be tough, ladies and gentlemen. If you just finished nursing, I want you to know, although you're super excited, I just got my LVN license. I just passed the boards. I just got my RN license. I'm ready to go work. When you get to your workplace, I just want to warn you, make sure that you have all that nursing knowledge in your head, right? And all your clinical is done, right? When you get out there, you got to have a thick skin, okay? I'm talking about bullying, nursing, like the what do you call those? Like the senior nurses or the seasoned nurses versus newbies. There you go. We're noobs. Yep. I don't know what they call it, but you're going to be a noob. So you're a newbie and you have the seasoned nurses. What can happen could be, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say there can be some attitudes or, like, I'm better. What do you mean you don't know how to do this? That kind of stuff, that it can also be like, what do you call it? I'm looking for a word that you may feel like ignored. And I'm trying to remember the things that I felt, when I used to be a new nurse and you'd be a noob, right? You may feel like you've been ignored. You don't fit in because you start working and everybody has their own group already. And you're trying to make a conversation and they're just not paying attention to you. That can be part of that. Or I would say departmental bullying, maybe like a med surg nurse versus an ER nurse. There are certain things, like depending on their situation, depending on the patient status, if you're transferring a patient from the ER to the floor, or you're transferring a patient from ICU to the med surg floor, or vice versa, there might be some, just a verbal exchange, of who's a better nurse and why are you transferring this patient and what's the reason? Have you called this doctor? Have you done blah, blah, blah? Things like that. That can happen. So those are some of the examples of bullying. What about harassment? It's to be the same thing. And as much as I don't want to mention this, but, nurses, it's known that nurses have the tendency to be bullied or harassed by doctors. It's a bit of a sensitive subject, but it's a controversy, but it's out there. It's not like it's a taboo. Some we're talking about bedside manners from the doctor's standpoint. You know, sometimes the way they speak to, not everybody, I just want to have that disclosure out there. Not all the doctors are like this. There are some, I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're stressed out or whatnot, but some doctors, when they speak to the nurses about patient care and stuff like that, their communication style may come across a little bit different and a little bit offending. And it may come across as, you know, being an act of harassment. So those are some of the types that you will experience. Personally, with me, when I used to work in an acute care setting, at a hospital setting, when I talked to the doctors, you know, they would, yeah, I got yelled at. Yes, why are you calling me at 11 o'clock at night when I'm in the middle of my sleep if you just need a cough syrup? Yeah, because my patient keeps coughing and the patient can't sleep. So I need an order. You have to have an order from a doctor before you can execute anything, you know, in your setting, anything as a nurse. You got to have a doctor's order. So those are some of the examples. And now, you know, all the institutions, I would say, have gotten better, like at the hospital setting, to have committees or groups to make sure that the nurses are not getting bullied or harassed by doctors, by the medical doctors at the hospitals. I know they have something like that. In a non-acute care setting, that seldom happens because you can truly see the partnership between a doctor or a nurse practitioner or a PA and the nurses. You know, I would say like in a skilled nursing facility or assisted living where I work at, we really do have a good partnership. In that way, we can discuss and truly figure out, you know, a good care plan for each patient or each resident. At the hospital setting, I don't think that happens so much. All right. Under pressure. Yes. Nurses are always under pressure. Let me tell you, if you work in an acute care setting, okay, hospital setting, I always go back to that one because there's just so many facets where you can work at as a nurse, right? Very good career. You can work anywhere. You can even do traveling, and you can go to just a bunch of opportunities for you. You just got to pick and choose which one you want to go and work for. So under pressure, yes. Under pressure can be, I would say, for your shift. You're coming on your shift, you're getting your report. There's so many things that you got to get done. There's not enough time in your shift to get all those things done, you know? So then you're automatically under pressure to get things done because you don't want to pass it on to the next shift. And that is unfair, right? If you pass it on to the next shift, they're going to question you. What? You didn't get them done and you're giving it to me. But, you know, nursing is 24 hours, you know, caring for patients and residents, it's, you know, it's a 24-hour thing. So if you can't get things done on your shift, it should be fine to pass it on to the next shift. But yes, under pressure. So you want to make sure that you can get all your tasks done, you know, on your shift. If you work in management like me, yes, there are pressures as well. You got to make sure all the systems and processes are done. It's a little bit more lenient, I would say. There's a little bit more room for you because, like, for me, if I don't get things done for today, then it's my personal goal to get it done. If not, I'll just go ahead and do it tomorrow. So my job is a little bit more different because I don't really handle direct patient care. Like, if I don't get my IV started today, then I'll just start it tomorrow. It doesn't happen like that, right? In the acute care setting, that's what you do. You gotta make sure you infuse the IV antibiotic, and you got to start an IV today so you can do the IV infusion, right? In management, if you don't get your paperwork done today, it should be fine as long as there's no pressing issue. It's not going to be detrimental if you don't get it done today, and then you can go ahead and do it tomorrow. Stress, I would say under pressure and stress are kind of like, you know, together. Coping with death. Yes, I would tell you that, coping with death. What does that mean? You get in touch with your patient, not get in touch. You get, what is that word? I'm looking for that word. You become attached to your patient or to your resident. And then when they die, it's hard on you. And it happens all the time. So especially if they coded on your shift, if they coded on that day that you worked and you weren't able to save them, you didn't get to do it, then it can be, it's just memories are flooding in my head. That's why I'm like pausing. Yes, it can get to you. You know, sometimes you also go through that process of the grieving process by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. If you guys in the medical field, if you're in the medical field, then you probably have heard of that name. She's the one that came up with a grieving process, right? So you kind of go through that too. It's like, what if I had been in that room like 10 minutes earlier, the patient, probably didn't code. The patient probably should be still alive at this time. So there's so many questions that you can, ask yourself, blaming yourself because you cannot cope with the death of your patient or the death of your resident. There's also times, like, for example, in my place, in an assisted living place, when they die, when they pass away, it is expected, but you get so attached and you get sad. In fact, in some of in the company that I work for, I'm pretty much sure all the other institutions are pretty much like that too. We do offer like caregiving, like a grievance or a grieving process for caregivers. We would host like an in-service training, or, there's a process where we would buy butterflies, and we do release of butterfly, either release of butterflies or release of white balloons up in the air. And that is just a ceremony, just a little ceremony that we do to help us out as caregivers, as nurses, and, as a team, to help us out cope with that resident death. All right, long hours. We did talk about that with short staffing, long hours. When I started in nursing, we still have the 8-hour shifts. We have, I think it's 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7, something like that. Now they changed that to 12-hour shifts. So it's 12-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, 12 hours. Mind you, at the tick of the 12th hour that you're supposed to be clocking out, it doesn't happen all the time like that. That means you're probably almost done, and then you still have to stay a little bit over so you can complete your reporting and your what do you call this? Your charting documentation. You got to get your charting documentation done. You do not go home. You do not clock out until you get your charting done. So working holidays, that is one of the biggest issues for me. And that's the reason why I left the acute care setting, because I love to have my holidays. It's not for everybody because somebody has to work, right? So working holidays, typically there's 3 major holidays, right? What do we have? Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year. Typically you would have to choose to work 2 of the major holidays. So you can only have 1 day off of the 3 major holidays. So you got to pick and choose. So, but in reality, if you work the morning shift, you get out at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, you can still go home and celebrate with your family. If you work the night shift, like 7 p to 7 a, then you have the option to celebrate with your family during daytime. So it still kind of works out. It just doesn't work out for me because I want to make sure I'm home all day long, preparing food and everything like that. And that is my personal choice. It's not for everybody, but if working holidays is not a big deal for you, then you're fine. Difficult patients. We talked about violence and harassments, right? Difficult patients. Yes, like I said, they're in a stressful mode, and they can't deal with the situation. Oh my gosh, I have so many examples of patients that I want to tell you, but for patient confidentiality, I'm not going to release their names anyway. I can probably go back and modify some, but they don't go to the hospital because they're happy and dandy and everything is going fine in their life, right? They don't. They go to the hospital because something's going on medically with them, okay? And no one can help them. They can't help themselves. They can't control what's going on. Let's just say you're diabetic, right? You can't control yourself. Your diabetes, your blood sugar is unstable. It goes up and down. So you're in a lot of stress already. And stress adds up with the blood sugar going up in your body. So it just compiles, up, more, if you're in that situation. But they go to the hospital because they're not happy. Everything is going sideways. They got to be well taken care of. So they're not going to be pleasant to you. They're not going to be nice to you. Don't expect patients to be nice to you. It's not all about you. It's not like I'm your nurse, so you got to pay attention to what I'm saying and follow what I'm saying. It's not about you as a nurse. It's about the patients, always about the patients. So you got to make sure to not be too sensitive when they come across to you as impolite or disrespectful. But you'll find a way to make sure that you get into a comfortable conversation space where you can tell your patient that, let's go talk, what's going on. I'm here to listen. There's a way to fix that. But in the beginning, make sure that, let me drink some water. I'm so excited. I'm like talking and talking. So I just want to make sure that you are not being too sensitive with, oh, I think I'm out of focus. Oh, there you go. Okay, just make sure not becoming too sensitive when that happens. Difficult family members. Yes, difficult family members, absolutely. Like I said, smells and liquids and visuals. Yes. So, working in a nursing field, I mean, it's dirty. It's a dirty work. You're touching fluids, body fluids, blood and urine and all of that good stuff. So you're exposed to those kind of fluids. So make sure that you're ready. If you can clean your bathroom, you can also handle those kind of stuff. So you will be fine. So just know that it's there. It's part of your job. And if you need to hold your breathing, you're going to wear a mask anyway if you're doing some extensive wound care or changing a resident or whatnot. I would suggest you wear a mask, because I did. But it's there. So my pet peeve, I would say, is that if you're doing those kind of tasks, don't make any face, like any faces of ew, like you're disgusted with what you're doing. Don't do that, because patients can do it if they can. They will do that task if they can, but they can't. And they're embarrassed enough to be naked in front of you, and you're the one that's changing them, right? So make sure you don't do any facial, grimace or facial expression that you don't like what you're doing, right? And you know what? I would suggest to probably even like have a good conversation with them. Just make the whole situation lightly. Have a conversation with them, talk to them about what they used to do, what they like to do, what are their hobbies, things like that. So that's what I would suggest. So I think that is it for some of the biggest issues. I mean, I think I covered pretty much almost everything. And that I did discuss mostly about acute care setting. If we're going to talk about management has a different level of stress. Like for me, I handle nursing leaders in our facilities. My responsibility is training them, making sure that I pour out all of my heart and all of my knowledge to them so they can be successful leaders in their facilities or communities. And that's what I do. And I love that part. There's a different level of stress because I am responsible for building facility status, in making decisions of processes and policies and things like that. It's a little bit of different kind of stress level. Now, if you are in, for example, if you're a director of nursing in a skilled nursing facility, or you're a unit manager or a manager at the hospital, your stress level is going to be a little bit different as well. I know for directors of nursing, you have to be on call 24/7. So be prepared to be called in the middle of the night at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So just so you know that's the type of work schedule that you will have. There's no days off technically, but that can be flexed out, So there is that. Now, my message to you before I go to the Q&A section in the chat room, if you are watching this on the replay, go ahead and put your comment at the bottom and I'll go get back with you and answer some of your questions. But if you are here on the live stream, kudos to you. Thank you for supporting me, and go ahead and just continue your chat questions and comments and I'll go back to them. I haven't looked at them. But my message to you, if you are thinking about nursing, you really need to have the right mindset and the right heart to be a nurse. I am originally from the Philippines. There's a lot of Filipino people that are nurses. And I was supposed to look at the percentage of the immigrants, nurses that are immigrants in the United States, and I didn't get a chance to do that. But, there's a lot of Filipino nurses, and I know there's also a lot of nurses from the other parts of the world. And the very first thing that's so attractive in nursing, at least for the Filipino nurses here in the United States, is the pay, the amount of money that you get paid as a nurse. We're used to, like for me, we're maybe so, yes. We're used to doing, those kind of jobs, the task-oriented jobs. We're used to doing that. So the job that you need to do as a nurse here in the United States is really fine. It's not glamorous, I will tell you. It's not super glamorous, but it's fine. It's very manageable. Plus, you get paid really, really well, right? A lot of the Filipino nurses and a lot of the other immigrant nurses, I would say, support their families back home. When they get paid, they send money back home to support their families, right? So my message is make sure if you are coming here in the United States or if you're thinking about taking up nursing, make sure you have the right mindset because it's really not all about the money. Okay. I will tell you, I know a lot of nurses. I will tell you the immigrant nurses or Filipino nurses. I'm just going to focus on that one. Okay. And I do apologize if you get offended, but a lot of them do work a lot. They work double jobs. They work a job and a half. And remember, your shift is already 12-hour shift, and you're working 3 days, pretty much 3 days of the 12-hour shifts in a week, and you get 4 days off. It sounds good that you have 4 days off, but in reality, you're super exhausted. You really need to have some break time. You really need to have those days to recuperate, right? So, and if you're working the night shift and you're wanting to work more than the 3 nights that you're working in a week, that is going to be a bit more, I think it's too harsh for the body. So just make sure that you're balancing your work and life situation, your personal life and your work situation. Okay, it's really not all about the money. You got to make sure you're making a difference. Plus, if you're working a lot, I'm going to tell you, you don't want to make a mistake on the job. You don't want to switch out an IV antibiotic for a different patient to a different patient. You don't want to do that. You got to make sure you're still focused and you're well rested in your brain. You had that mental rest throughout your days off. So now, for I would say seasoned nurses there, like maybe like five years of nursing or maybe 8 years of nursing, I would highly, highly recommend that you free up your job title, your job position, free that up for the upcoming new nurses that are graduating. What does that mean? That means you ought to be looking into obtaining a higher position in your nursing career. Okay, go ahead and move up. If there's an opportunity for you to be a unit manager, go ahead and take that opportunity. If there's an opportunity for you to be a charge nurse or a director of nursing, to be a supervisor, go ahead and work up the ladder and get to the nursing supervisory position to open up the floor nursing job titles at the bottom, so we can have all our new nurses coming and graduating throughout the years to come in. Remember, our population is growing. Our geriatric population, look it up in Google. Our geriatric population is growing. It's supposed to be, I don't have the exact number for the population, but it's supposed to double up or even triple up by the year 2030. So there's a lot of medical needs that's coming up, and we got to make sure we are freeing up those positions for the new grads in the next few years. All right, friends, I think that is it for the ones that I can think of. Let me go to the chat section. I'm just going to scroll up. How's the camera? Is it still out of focus? I think it's good, right? Thank you, friends, for coming in. I see Michaela. All right. I have Troy. Thank you, Troy. Jezebel, hello. Thank you for logging in. Yes, salary entry, it might be different. The 70K salary entry might be a bit different. Remember, there's an LVN and there's an RN. But I know, I would say about 10 years ago, the entry pay rate for RNs, I think it's $31 or $33 per hour. So we are in year 2020 now. So I think that $35 an hour is actually good. It might be the median, the starting pay right now. Plus you have shift differential. So remember I said that, most of the shifts are 12-hour shifts, right? So you have 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I think the shift differential starts off at 3 p.m. or maybe 5 or 6, 7 p.m. at night. Okay, question here. What's the difference between LVN and RN in terms of education and salary? Great question. So basically, LVN has about a year of main nursing corps training. But before you get to that, before you get to the program, you got to make sure you complete your prerequisites, right? Like your anatomy 1 and 2, biology 1 and 2, I think. And then the RNs, you have the RNs also got divided into two components. You have the associate's degree and the bachelor's degree. The associate's degree is a 2-year degree program. You also have to complete your prereqs, your prerequisite classes. That includes biology. I think it's microbiology 1 and 2, anatomy 1 and 2, that kind of stuff. And then you can get into the nursing program. So technically, it kind of takes about, I don't know, like maybe 4 years. And then after you finish your associate's degree, then you can sit in to take your board exam. All right, let's see. Any questions? That sounds a bit difficult. Yes, some of the concerns here of being a nurse can be quite difficult. You know, what we didn't address is working under the COVID situation. So like I said, you are going to be exposed to, biohazard pretty much, and infectious diseases like that. You're going to be exposed to more than just COVID. You were talking about HIV. We're talking about some of the minor stuff, but it's also very, very contagious, like hepatitis, those kind of stuff, bed bugs, shingles, flu. What else? Those are some of the examples of contagious diseases. So the good thing is that you're in the medical field. There's enough, a very good infection control process that we have here. You're going to be gowned up and everything. So don't worry about getting exposed unprotected. You're going to have the proper protective equipment before you take care of a patient in that situation. All right. So, all right. Let's see. Hello, friend of Dyllan. Thank you for logging in. Do you have to do emergency visits? Not sure about emergency visits. You can do as a patient, you can do emergency visits. You can go to the ER. There's a lot of, what do you call this? The urgent care now that you can go to address whatever concerns you have. You know, if you're having a shortness of breath or if you have a cut, then they can go ahead and tend to those. How long does schooling take? Thank you so much for that question. Yes, so LVNs, for the licensed vocational nursing, that is only 1 year of schooling, but you have to complete your prerequisite classes. The prerequisite classes will include anatomy 1 and 2, maybe pharmacology. I want to say maybe 8 to 10 classes that you have to complete first. And then you apply for the program. Once you're accepted in the program, you have to take an entrance exam. They call it HESI. It stands for something I don't remember what it is now. It's HESI. You got to take that entrance exam. If you pass it, then you go to the program, and then you take up your 1 year of schooling. If you're going to take the associate's degree, same thing, 2 years for the nursing program, but you gotta complete all the prerequisite classes first. Take the entrance exam, which is the HESI, and then you proceed with the program. Bachelor's is the same thing. So it's like LVN, RN, associate's degree, and then the bachelor's degree. So all in all, it can take anywhere, your schooling can take anywhere from 2, 3, maybe 3 to 5 years. And then you can take up your board exam. Great question. I know your mother's patient died. Yes, it can be very, very sad. And, even with me, when I go home, I tell my family, I tell my kids about the patient that died for that day. It's very heartbreaking, and the things that I've done. I'm gonna tell you, have I done chest compression, CPR? Yes, I have done those kind of things. It's not the most pleasant thing, but I know that I'm making a difference to hopefully save a life. Have I cracked any ribs? Yes, I have. I have cracked many ribs. But what you want to do when you're doing CPR chest compressions is you want to get through the heart so you can restart the heart with the pumping action. All right, let's see. Hi, Stacy. Thank you so much for logging in. Thank you. I appreciate you. If you have any questions, feel free to put it on the comment section. I went through, let me drink real quick. I went through just overall the nursing career, the hardest things about it. And anyways, I have 8:41. So if you don't have any other questions, I think we can go ahead and conclude our live stream. Remember, live stream for my channel is every Friday, 8 o'clock at night. And today was so close for it to being canceled because I was super busy at work. we were returning the residents that evacuated because of the hurricane. And so I was so glad that I was able to squeeze it in and just, had a chance to chat with you, all of my friends. So live stream is 8 o'clock. So August was the series for nursing, Conversations with a Nurse. Next month, September, we're going to be talking about marriage and see how that comes along. I have been married for turning up 20 years. And for some of you friends out there, you have been married for longer than 20 years. So I need engagement from you. I need to hear from you too on some of the, any suggestions that you may have. But I'm just going to share the ones that I know and the things that worked out for me. I think my camera is going out of focus for some reason, but stay tuned. Remember, our live stream is every Friday, 8 o'clock at night. Same time, it's Central Time. Other than that, my channel is about Harry Potter, about life, lifestyle vlogs and nursing stuff. So check it out and scroll through and see which videos you will want to binge on. Just go ahead and click on that and continue. If you are new to my channel, go ahead and click that like button and subscribe and the notification bell. The notification bell, you got to click on that. And you got to see the bell with lines on the sides of it. That means you will get notified every time I post a video. Other than that, thank you so much, friends, for staying with me. Appreciate your time spent with me. And I hope you learned something about nursing. If you are watching this on a replay and you did not get a chance to partake into the chat group, go ahead and drop your comment and question on the comment section down below. Other than that, y'all have a great day. Have a great weekend. Take care, be safe, and have a good night. Bye, friends.